So my name is Karen Nershi, and today I'm going to talk about several strategic developments in the cybercrime ecosystem. Cybercrime continues to grow in both the number of attacks and their cost year after year. Today I'm going to highlight 3 developments that have affected both the type and scale of these attacks. The first development I would like to talk about is professionalization. And by this I mean the increased organization amongst actors who carry out cybercrime. We see this in the rise of call centers in India dedicated to carrying out scams, as well as the rise of human trafficking operations in Southeast Asia, in which trafficked persons are held in prison compounds and forced to carry out scam calls, oftentimes for up to 18 hours per day and under threat of torture. And we see this in the ransomware space amongst many of the groups that have begun operating. And one of the reasons that we know about this increased organization is that one of the groups had many of its internal communications leaked several years ago, which revealed insight into the group's operations and structure. The group had between 60 and 120 members with differentiated roles, including researchers, pen testers, managers, and others. They were organized into teams with team leads. And the group had adopted a number of corporate practices, including biweekly pay schedules, systems for requesting time off and bonuses, as well as a number of HR practices. So for example, the group maintained a presence on legitimate job boards and would review resumes to find eligible applicants to try to recruit. So the consequences of this increased professionalization is that it's affected the sophistication of many ransomware operations. Many of these groups today target Fortune 500 companies or even national governments and demand multi-million-dollar ransoms. In terms of human trafficking operations, they've managed to force these individuals to carry out scams at scale, bringing in tens of billions of dollars for their captors. The second development I would like to highlight is the increased democratization. And by that I mean expanding the means of carrying out cybercrime to a wider range of individuals without technical skills. We see this in the ransomware space with the rise of ransomware-as-a-service groups. So much like their software-as-a-service counterparts, these groups license their technical innovation, which in this case is their malware, so that third-party criminals can use their malware and their name to carry out ransomware attacks, essentially creating a franchise. And the franchisees reward the malware developers by sharing a portion of the ransoms that they receive. We also see this with the rise of dark web marketplaces selling zero-day exploits and malware and other tools used to carry out cybercrime. And AI is poised to supercharge this movement. Although, as with many areas of AI, the full implications have yet to be realized, already we've seen that cybercriminals have modified large language models with the intent of helping other cybercriminals carry out cybercrime. So what are the consequences of this movement? Well, generally it's expand the ability to carry out cybercrime to a much wider group of individuals. And no longer do you or a close friend need to know how to write malware. Instead, you can simply go to a marketplace on the dark web, purchase some malware, and begin carrying out ransomware attacks. The third development I would like to highlight is an alignment amongst some cybercriminals and nation states, although these relationships are oftentimes murky and difficult to understand. So in a recent paper, a co-author and I looked at the development of the Russian state's relationship to ransomware groups. And to do this, we collected a data set of the victims of ransomware attacks from sources on the dark web. Based on our analysis of these data sets, we conclude that the Kremlin maintains a loose relationship with ransomware groups. So the groups are independent, but they will occasionally cooperate with the government, and both actors get certain benefits from this relationship. So one benefit that the Kremlin receives is the ability to recruit skilled cyber actors for its cyber forces. You see this after the invasion of Ukraine, in which the Russian government recruited from the ranks of ransomware groups to help its cyber offensive. A second benefit that the government receives is the ability to shape cybercriminal targeting. And so the Russian government oftentimes will prosecute criminals who target domestic victims while allowing those who target foreign victims, especially in adversary countries, to remain free. This has shaped criminal targeting. So for example, we see in this map that the United States has targeted is the country with the most victims of ransomware attacks, more than any other country. And this relationship remains even after controlling for the size of the US economy. In exchange, the ransomware groups receive safe haven protection from the government, so they're generally safe from domestic prosecution and from extradition to foreign countries. And this is a really important benefit because in recent years, law enforcement in the United States and other allied countries have gotten really good at cooperating together to bring down major cybercriminal operations, including major dark web marketplaces, major ransomware groups. And a major impediment here is the protection that some states have provided to cybercriminals, which provides a hindrance to these operations and continues to contribute to the persistence of some cybercriminal operations. So to briefly summarize, today I've highlighted 3 developments in the cybercrime ecosystem and touched on the ways that they've impacted the type, the scale, and the persistence of cybercrime as a global problem. Thank you.
That was a great talk, Karen. Kind of a controversial question. We often talk about cybercrime that's taking place by, say, North Korea, China, or Russia against the West. What about what the West does? And what are their arguments against us?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I will draw a distinction here between espionage and spying, which happens a lot from many countries, including, of course, the West engages, versus other types of cybercrime, for example, economic espionage, which, to the best of our knowledge, most Western countries aren't widely engaging in. So I think there's a distinction here between spying that generally happens and then some of these other forms of cybercrime, whether it's engaging with ransomware actors, engaging in economic espionage, or even just thefts of cryptocurrency, which really represents a different kind of activity.
Right, there was this thing about that the US government could shut down, say, the Japanese grid in 2 seconds. Is that a cybercrime?
Well, I think we have to look at what countries do with these capabilities. And so far, we haven't seen a lot of disruptive actions like the one you mentioned.
Right. We have a data analyst from TikTok who's got a question for you. Yeah. Zion?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So far, there's been a lot of talk about AI in the cybercrime world. It doesn't seem, to the best of our knowledge, like it has been so useful yet for things like developing malware, although potentially maybe in the future. But another angle that AI is potentially useful is in some of this professionalization of these operations. So maybe helping them and carry out some of their activities, creating more structure within the group, that sort of thing. Yeah, so this is a major challenge. It's really the jurisdictional aspect of a lot of cybercrime that happens today. I think that one of the ways Western countries can try to address something like ransomware is by focusing on the cryptocurrency angle and regulating cryptocurrency exchanges, which make these conversions between the cryptocurrency and fiat currencies. So that's something that Western countries have a lot of control over generally, the control of dollars, euros, and other currencies. So I would say that's probably a better angle to go as far as trying to prevent cybercrime as opposed to trying to prevent these attacks or fend them off.
My last question to you is the Trump administration just appointed, I believe, a 20-year-old kid to be the cryptocurrency czar out here. What advice would you give him?
Ooh, well, I suppose I would say I think cryptocurrency oftentimes gets a bad name, and I think with more regulation, it will allow more of the benefits of this new technology to play out, more of the good players to come in and set up great businesses. So I think setting up the rules of the road here with some good regulation will really benefit the sector overall.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you.